The next measure that I'm going to talk about is a cumulative calculations. Now, what is a cumulative calculations? Cumulative calculations are running total. For example, YTD sales, MTD sales, so year till date or month till date. Now, for example, if you have a sales, if your sales started from the month of Jan 2020 and you want to calculate the sales still for the month of April, the YTD sales. So the calculations will be for the if the sales for the month of Jan is 10,000 and for the month of Feb is 5,000, for the month of March is 2,000. So the YTD sales for the month of Jan will be remain 10,000, but for Feb it will be Jan plus Feb, that is 15,000, and for March it will be Jan plus Feb plus March. So 10,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,000, that is 17,000. So let us see how we can calculate the YTD sales. So for that, again, I'll click on the home button and I'll click on the enter data option. And let me create one more blank table so that I can keep the cumulative sales measure in a different group. So let me name this particular measure as cumulative calculations. And let me load this particular measure. Particular table, the blank table over here. And over here, you can see the cumulative calculations has been uploaded. You can just do a right click over here and click on new measure. And let us create our YTD sales. YTD sales equals to, now in Power BI, we have a dedicated formula to calculate the YTD sales. So the formula is total YTD. So the total YTD evaluates the specific expressions over the interval which begins on the first day of the year and ends with the last date in the specified date column. So we'll be using a date column for this after applying the specify filter. So what I can do, we can click on tab and we can name we'll be calculating the total YTD sales on the total sales measure that we have calculated. So you'll be referring the total sales or the total revenue. Before that, let me change the name of this particular measure. It'll be easy for you to understand. So you can right click on this and let me name it as total sales. Fine. So I'll just do a right click on the cumulative measures and click on new measure. And we can do a total, or you can do YTD sales equals to total YTD. We'll refer the total sales measure, comma, and the date from the date filter. And you can close the parenthesis, press enter. Now we can see the measure has been created. We can remove the blank column from here. And you can see the cumulative calculations group is carried. The first group we have created for the first measure table that we have created is this particular main measure, which consists of the profit margin, total cost, total sales, total transactions. The second measure group contains the YTD sales. This is the cumulative calculations. Let us use a simple text table. And let me bring the date column over here. You can remove the hierarchy of the date. And let me bring the total sales and the YTD sales. Now, if I can extend this table, I can highlight this table. You can see that for the first Jan it was 4,14,529 total sales, which remains the same. But for the month, for the second day, what we have done, what this formula is doing, it is doing a sum between the first day and the second day, and the total sales for the second day is a cumulative figure. The same thing goes for the third day. So the sales for third Jan will be first Jan plus second Jan plus third Jan. Now, there's an interesting thing that you can see over here. If you come down at the end of 2019, it is calculating over here. So the calculation ends year-wise. For 2020, it is doing a fresh calculation. So the first Jan 2020 sales and the cumulative sales for second Jan 2020 will be the first Jan plus second Jan. So it's just 5,39,000. You can do the calculations and you can check. So this particular YTD sales number will be showing a less value. Nothing to worry about that because it is calculating the sales for 2020 separately. Now the same way what we can do, we can calculate the MTD sales. So for the MTD sales, we'll be doing the same thing. We'll do a right click on the cumulative calculations. We'll take a new measure this time. And we'll name this as a total MTD. Or you can simply keep it as month till date sales. MTD sales equals to total MTD. So what does this formula does? Evaluates the specific expression over the interval which begins on the first of the month and ends with the last date of the specified date column after applying the specific filters. Now, if you want to calculate the month till date sales, for example, the same thing goes for if the first day of January it was a 1,000 rupees sales and the second day it is a 500, third day it is 200, then the month till date sales for Feb will be for the second day will be the addition of first day and the second day, and the third day will be the addition of first day, second day and third day. So you'll be using this particular formula over here, and again we'll apply this particular formula on the total sales and the date column of the date table. We'll close the parenthesis and press enter. So this was the month till date sales. The same way we can apply it by the YTD sales. The next set of measures that I'm going to work with will be the most important part of DAX, that is the time intelligence components. So let us create a blank table first and then start working on the time intelligence measures that we can work on this particular data set. So I'll create on the enter data table, and let me name this particular table as time intelligence calculations. And let me load this table. So you can see we have created the time intelligence table over here, and let us create our first time intelligence formula, that is sales last year. So what I can do, I can right click on this particular table and click on new measure. And I want to calculate the sales for the last year. Now the present year is 2020. The last year for 2020 will be 2019. So let's calculate the sales for the last year and see how we can apply this particular measure on this particular data set. So let us name this measure as sales last year. And we'll use a calculate formula this time. Now calculate is a very important formula. Calculate, what it does, it actually controls the logic. It controls the logic of the DAX, the expression, DAX expression. Whatever logic we write, whatever uh, formula we are applying within the calculate, it actually controls that particular formula. For example, calculate will tell you whether you have to perform a filter operations, whether you have to perform a sum operations, whether you have to perform average operations in your DAX formula. So what we can do? We can use the calculate formula. What calculator evaluates an expression in a context modified by filters. So it actually evaluates the logic within a formula. Now, my definition would be a bit confusing for you, but anyways, when I'll be doing it practically, it will be easy for you to understand. So what I am doing over here, I'm calculating the sales last year. So I'll be using a calculate formula, and I'll use the sum on the column name, that is sales revenue, that we have calculated at the beginning. And we'll close this parenthesis. So we are doing a sum of the revenue column. We can also use the total sales over here. There's no, you can also use total sales and you can check it. You can explore it. And after the comma, we'll be using a formula called same period last year. Let me write this formula. See, same period last year. This formula returns a set of dates in the current selection from the previous year. So whatever date we are going to apply, so this is a time intelligence formula, same period last year. So this formula will be always be applicable on the date column. And what it does, considering the current date of your report, it will fetch the data for the previous year. So as the name is clear enough to make you understand that same period last year will give you the data comparing to the last year value. Over here, we want the data in terms of sales, so we have used the sales revenue column over here, and now we'll be using the same period last year on the date column. And you can close the value over parenthesis over here. You can again close the parenthesis over again. See, I have opened two parentheses and I've closed two parentheses. Press enter. And we can got the first time intelligence measure, that is same period last year. We can choose to remove the column name. We can collapse and expand this value, and you can see we have got one more major group called time intelligence calculation. So we have, under this we have listed the sales last year. So this was a formula we use for same period last year. Let us use this particular formula. Let me take a new page and let me bring the text table over here, and let me bring the date table, the date column over here. From the date table, and let me bring the sales, and let me bring the sales last year. Now if I expand this table, you can see for 2019 we don't have any last year sales, because this particular data set contains the sales for 2019 and 20. But if you can come down, just keep in mind the numbers, this particular number for the 1st Jan 2019, we have a sale of 4,14,000, right? So if you come down to 2020, for January 2020, the last year sales will be January 2019, right? And you can see the same figure for 2019, which is available over here. So this particular formula, same period last year, what it has done, it has taken the date, it has taken the current date of the report, and it has calculated the sales for that particular date last year. So that's why we have used the revenue column, where we have used the sum, the total of the revenue column, and we have got the sales for the last year. So the last year sale was 170565, and this year the total sale is 205994. Now there is a problem with this particular formula. What does this formula, what problem we have? The problem is that for this particular formula, we can only use this formula same period last year for only calculating the last year sales. What if I want to calculate the last 2 years of sales or last 3 years of sales? This formula will give me only the last year sales, right? In order to calculate the last n months of sales, we have a very powerful formula in Power BI, that is date add. Let us create one more DAX using the date add function, and we'll do the same calculation using a date add. So what I will do, I will right click over here, click on new measure, and this time I will be using a date add. So let me name it as sales last year equals to calculate total sales, comma, date add. So date add means moves the given set of date by a specified interval. Specified intervals, user defined intervals. So we can use the date add. I'll be using the date add column, comma, the number of intervals. Over here we need to find last year, that is we have to go 1 year back, so we have to apply -1. Now suppose you want to calculate 2 years back, you can give a -2. One more important formula, or one more important feature of this particular formula is that not only you can calculate the value in terms of years, you can also calculate it in terms of days, weeks, and months. Now see, so you can give a comma. The moment I give a comma, you can see there's an option over here, whether you want to calculate the sales in terms of day. -1 day means yesterday's sales you will get. -1 month means last month sale you will get. -1 quarter means last quarter sales will get. Over here the requirement is year, so we'll select a year value and close the parenthesis and we'll close enter. Now let me use this particular formula over here, and you will see that we have got the same value for sales last year using date add, got the same value. Now I will always go for this particular formula instead of same period last year, because this formula is more dynamic and it is more powerful, because it helps me not only to calculate the sales in terms of last year, but also in terms of previous month, day, and week. So like this, what we can do, we can also calculate the profit for the last year. So we can do a right click over here and create a new measure, and let us name this measure as profit last year, and we'll do calculate total profit comma, what you can do, date add, date column, comma, -1 in terms of year, and you can press enter. Now let me take a new, and let me take a text column over here, bring the date column on the value field, remove the hierarchy from the date, bring the profit from the major table, and the profit last year. Let me expand this table, and let me check. So the profit for the last 1st Jan 2019 was 1,35,000, right? So I shall be getting this particular, I should be getting this particular figure over here. Yes. So I'm getting 1,35,000 for the last year's profit for 1st Jan 2020. Now, suppose you have a scenario where you have to create two different measure calculating the sales for 2019 and 2020 separately. How can you do that? So this is also time intelligence formula, right? So I need to know the individual sales for 2019 and 2020. How can I do that? So you'll do a right click over here in the time intelligence, click on new measure, and let me name this as 2019 sales. And what we will do, you can do calculate total sales, comma, we'll apply a filter in the date column. So we can go the date column in the table, and we have to mention the date, the date. We have to apply a filter on the date table on the year column, where you have to specify the year as 2019. So you can do date, you can come over here, we have got the year column over here, right? Equals to, what you can do, 2019, and you can just close it. So what I have to done, I have to calculate the 2019 sales. So I have used a calculate function, and I have referred the total sales and applied a filter on the date table on the year column, where I have to only get the 2019 year in terms of sales. So I can press enter, and I've got a measure. So let me take a new page this time. I use a text column. I'll take the date column over here, and I can remove the date hierarchy, and I can bring the 2019 sales. Now you can see I have got only 2019 sales over here. Now let me calculate the 2020 sales. We'll take a new measure, and what I can do, I can name this as 2020 sales equals to calculate total sales, comma, filter the date table, the date column, the year column, sorry, equals to 2020. I can close this. I can press enter. Now I can select this table over here, and I can bring the 2020 cells. So if you go above, okay, so 2020 sales has been listed from here. So in 2020, the sales has begun from here and it has been calculated in the different column. So these are some of the time intelligence formula that I wanted to discuss with you. However, you can explore the time intelligence DAX concept where you can use the sales last year or the sales for a particular year. You can also explore it to the next level where you can just use the time intelligence formula in order to get some more in-depth insights from your data set. The next measures that I'm going to work with will be a kind of measures which are very essentials in terms of when you're working with a sales report. For example, suppose you need to find the average sales, the average daily sales. So we have the total sales with us, right? So I'll create the average daily sales in the main measure group. So I do a right click, click on new measure. And I will give this name as an average daily sales equals to, we'll use a formula called average X. Now what is average? And average returns the numbers in a column, but average X will returns the expression in terms of row. It's just like same like sum and sum X. So we'll use an average X on the date column with a value function on the date column. We'll close it and we'll give the total sales over here. And we'll close it. Now what I have done, what does value do? Let me see what, show you what does values do, why we are using values over here. Values, what it does, when a column name is given, returns a single column table of a unique value. When a table name is given, returns a table name with the same column. So what it does, average X, what will be do, it will be taking the particular column, and over here the column will be the date column, and what it will do, it will calculate the average value for the whole column in terms of total sales. So we'll press enter over here, and what we can do, we can use a card value and you can bring the average sales over here. So the average daily sales for this particular company is 394.63 thousand. We can also format this value to get the exact figure. So it is the average sale for 3,94,626. Is the average sale for this particular company. The next measure that I'm going to work with is an important measure. I want the top 5 customers in terms of sales. So the top 5 customers who give us the best sales. So let us calculate this particular formula. I'll be using this particular formula in main measures only. So let us right click on this main measure. And let us name this measure as top 5 customers. Now let us start calculating this particular. So we'll use a calculate function over here on the total sales. Now you can see how important, why I am keeping the total sales, total cost, the profit in the main measures, because I'm using this total sales in everywhere while calculating the time intelligence concept or the cumulative or the top 5 customers or the average sales. So that's why it's important that you should, the main reason behind this particular discussion is that this is the reason that we should always group measures, because you should know that which are the main measures in your data set. So I'll use a total revenue, comma, and I'll use a filter column on the customer name. I want the customer name. So I will refer the customer details, comma, and the customer name. You can close this bracket. So what I have done, I have calculated the total sales and applied a filter on the customer names, and I'll give a condition where I'll be using a sorting function called rankx. Now rankx, what is the rankx is a kind of sorting which actually gives us sorting. So rank, as the name implies, that it actually rank your data, it sorts your data. Now over here the sorting will be in terms of the first 5. So we want to rank the first 5 customers. So we'll be using the rankx on all the values of the customer table using the customer name, and we'll close that comma, and now I want the total revenue. So I want to refer the customer names in terms of total revenue or the total sales, you must say. We'll use a descending order from largest to the lowest. The largest sales customer name with the highest sale will be at the up, and the lowest sales will be at the top, where it will be less than equal to 5, comma, and again we'll be referring the total sales, and we'll be using a blank function. Suppose if there's any blank cell on that particular rank, it will also return that particular blank cell also. So we'll be using a blank, and we'll close all the bracket. So I'm getting an error over here, right? Unexpected expression. So let me check this formula. So I've used a calculate, total sales, filters. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I left one. That's why I'm getting this error. I am to give a value function again over here. Value, customer details. Why this error is coming? Filter. Okay. I can remove this table name. Yeah. So the calculation will be done on the basis of total sales, where we're applying a filter on all the values of the customer name in the customer detail table, ranking the customer name in terms of the top 5 customer name in terms of descending order, and also if there is any blank figure in the total sales value, it will also return that. So let's press enter. Okay. And now let's take a new page and test this particular measure. So what I can do, I can bring the customer name from the customer table, and I can bring the top 5 customer name over here, and you can see so here are the top 5 customers who have actually given us the highest sales. So the first is Robert, second is Cassandra, third is Sari, Jenny, and Rachel. These are the top 5 customers. So if you can check your data in terms of the total sales, and if you can filter your data in terms of sales, you will find these top 5 customers who have performed well. Now, let me give you a small task. I want you to find the top 10 products, and you can explore it. I have given you a one hint of our top 5 customers, right? So you can find it from your way, how you can find the top 10 products in terms of sales. And it will be a good learning for you. Now, these were the type of measures. These are the type of DAX that I wanted to show you. However, there are a lot of more DAX formula which I will request you to explore. So today we have worked on like main measures, time intelligence, and cumulative calculations. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is a bit tricky topic, that is new quick measure. I would suggest that you should avoid using quick new measures, because for using quick new measures you need to have a very good hold on DAX. Even after having working for so many years with Power BI, I prefer not to work with new quick measures, and I will tell you why. Let me create a new quick measure, and then I will tell you why I always avoid to work with new quick measure. Now you can find the new quick measure over here, right? Now, as the name suggests, the quick measure means you can quickly create a measure. And how we can create a measure quickly? By not writing any DAX functions. Yes, you sounded right. You heard it right. We don't have to write any DAX functions for creating quick measures. And that's why it's dangerous to use a quick measure. Let me show you why. Now, if I come to this main measure and I want to create a new quick measure for total sales, you can see the moment I select total sales, there are 3 dots over here. So you can click on these 3 dots, and there's an option over here called new measure, or you can see the new quick measure. You click on this option and there will be a pop-up window coming up. Now this is the quick measure window. If this particular section contains 2 fields, one is calculation and another is field. Over here you can see all the columns and measures that we have created till now. Now let's create a quick measure on the total sales. If I click on this down, there's a series of calculation that I can do on total sales, like the aggregate calculation. I can apply filters. I can apply the time intelligence calculation. So you are aware of the YTD and QTD kind of MTD kind of measures, right? Just now we have worked on that. We can click on the totals. Running totals means cumulative totals. You can do mathematical operations and you can do some text operations. Now let me click on any of the calculations. Let me click on a filtered value. So I want to create a filter value on the total sales. Now let me when I select a filter value, there is a filter field that has been appeared which needs a parameter. So let me take the country on the filter field and let me select a country as a parameter. I select Austria and I click on OK. The moment I click on OK, you will see that there is a measure that has been created over here under the main measure section. You can see, let me expand this particular total sales for Austria. Now for this particular measure, we have not written any single line of DAX, just the way we have written for this kind of measures, like for profit, average daily sales. We have not written any DAX formula. If I select this particular measure, you can see that there's a DAX formula associated with this, which we have not written. It is the Power BI that has written for us. Now, why I say to avoid this, because if you don't have a proper knowledge of DAX, you will not understand what this formula is all about. If there is any kind of modification or error this formula throws, you will not be in a position to understand that because you have not written this DAX formula. So it is always advised to avoid quick measures. However, for a knowledge, I have shown you one of the ways of creating a quick measure. Fine. So let us use this particular measure. What we can do, we can create a table over here. I can select a table over here and let me bring the customer details and let me bring the quick measure that I've created, total sales for Austria. Now you can see the total sales for Austria will only show the customers who are from Austria, not for other country. So this particular measure is only showing the sales for Austria. So I bought the customer name, and the moment I bring the total sales for Austria, the customers who belong from Austria are available over here. And we have not written a single DAX for this. Let me show you one more option. This time what I will do, I'll create a quick measure on profit. So I'll click on this particular option, select the new quick measure, and again I'll get this particular window. And this time let me do a YTD total for profit. And as YTD is related to a date component, we'll bring the date column over here. And I click on OK. And you can see I've got the profit YTD. You can remove this particular YTD from here to the cumulative. It's your choice. You can do that. But for now, we can just test this particular. So let me create one more table. And let me bring the date column over here. And let me bring the YTD profit. Now here's the YTD profit for us. Fine. Now there's one more drawback that you will see now. The date is the date contains some certain hierarchy, right? So what we can do, we can remove the hierarchy from here. But the moment I remove hierarchy, you will see that this particular visual is throwing an error. Why? Let me show you that. So I should bring back the hierarchy again. And you can see the YTD again. Now let me check this formula. I click on this YTD measure, and you can see that this is the formula that Power BI has written for us for calculating the YTD profit. Now over here, you can see the time intelligence quick measure can only be grouped or filtered by Power BI provided date hierarchy or a primary date column. This means that when you are using a time intelligence concept in quick measures, creating quick measures, the date format should be always carry a hierarchy. You cannot change the date hierarchy. You cannot remove the date hierarchy. But in our reporting, on day-to-day reporting, we are used to see a date in a different date, month, and year format. But over here, you can see the date is containing a hierarchy. So this is some of the drawbacks of quick measures. So I always suggest my learners to avoid a quick measure option as much as possible, and you can follow the traditional way of creating measures and calculated columns. So this was all about quick measures that I wanted to discuss. I have discussed about calculated columns, calculated measures. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is a calculated table. So let's create a calculated table. Let me take a new page, and this time I'll be working on the data view part. Now the scenario is I have a sales table with me. Now I want to create a table that contains a data for a specific country. Now we have a region table over here which contains the details of all the country. Now I have a sales table which contains the data in terms of all the countries, like while we're using the country, the region ID. So I want to create a table which contains data only for the country Germany. So we'll be creating a user defined fact table. So sales is a fact table, right? So I want to create a different fact table which should only contains the data related to the country Germany. So let us create a calculated table. For that, what we can do, we can click on the new table option over here. So we have created new measures, we have created quick measures, we have created new columns, and now it's time for us to create the new table. So we'll click on this new table option. And let's name this table as Sales Germany. And what we'll want, we want to filter the sales details table. So we'll filter the sales because Germany, the sales for the Germany is there in the sales details table, right? So we'll filter the sales details table and comma. Now we have filtered the sales tables and we want to extract the data related to Germany. So we have to refer a different table, that is a region table, from where we'll be extracting the country Germany and we'll be applying that particular table's Germany data on the sales details table with the help of the filter function. So we'll use the relate function. Relate, what it does, it does returns a related value from the another table. So we'll use the relate, and over here we'll be refer the region table, and from the region table we'll be referring the country column where the country is equals to Germany, and we press enter. Now if you can come on this side, you can see there's a sales Germany table has been created, and this is the formula for that. Now, how can I understand that this particular table is only for Germany? I cannot see any country column over here, right? So why can't we build a country column? So for that, what I can do in this table, I'll click on new column. Now, before I create a country column over here, what I need to do, I need to do a very important thing. For that, click on this particular model, and you can see the sales Germany table that we have created is over here. We can bring this table and can place it near this fact table, because the fact table is the second layer, right? So you can just extend it. And now that we have created this sales Germany table, we need to establish a relationship between the other tables and this table, because we'll be referring these tables also in terms of German table, right? What I can do, I can bring the region table, the region index on the region ID. I can bring the date on the order date. And similarly, I can bring the product ID on the product ID column. And the customer index to the customer index column. Now this is also a fact table, just like the sales details table. Now we can come back to this particular table. So you can see your data model is looking so beautiful with all the dimensions at one level, the fact on the other level, and the major tables at the other level. So you can go back to this data model, select the Germanic table, click on new column, and let's bring a column over here which will always tell that this particular table contains all the data in terms of Germany. So name it the column as country, equals to, again we'll use a relate function because we will bring the country details from the region table, right? So we'll relate the region table, the country column, and we'll close the bracket, press enter. And you can see that we'll get a new column which contains only the country details where it is only Germany. So starting from the very beginning, we bought the data, we created the dimensions and the facts, the relations, the major tables. We have also worked on the calculated columns, a lot of measures we have worked with. And at the end, we have also worked with the calculated table, like sales Germany. So you can see that we have worked with so many measures today. So these are the some of the important measures that we will be working on a day-to-day basis when you're working on any kind of data set. I've also talked about the best practices that we can follow while designing a model, while writing the DAX formulas, by grouping your DAX, where I have also discussed about the new and the dynamic formula and what is the difference between the old and the new formula. Now, DAX is a huge concept. I'll request you guys to please explore it. I have just given you the roadmap to study. I've given you the highlights as what will be your approach for studying the DAX concept. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is a many-to-many relationship. So I will take a very simple example. But before that, I just wanted to make a one point clear over here that in terms of relationship between the tables, the most commonly used relation that we use is a one-to-many. However, in some cases, we need to understand the fact that many-to-many relationship will also help you. But we need to first recognize that at what point, at what scenario we need to use a many-to-many relationship. For this particular example, let me take a fresh data set and let me take a new Power BI environment so that I can work and show you on the simple example. So I've taken a fresh Power BI desktop file, and let me connect to the file for on which we are going to apply a many-to-many relationship. So I'll click on this particular folder and I'll use this Neo cells. Now I've clicked on this particular file and will allow this file. So this file contains two sets of table, the customer and the sales. So let us select each of the tables. So this is the customer table and this is the sales table. Now let me load this particular data. Now you can see that tables has been loaded. Now let's come to the relationship over here in this model view. Now before that, in the data view, if you can see that the customer table over here, okay, so this needs a bit of transformation. I guess the column names are not updated over here in the customer table. So what we can go to the home section, click on transform data. And for the customer table, so you know how to update the column headers, right? We'll click on this particular option over here and we can click on close and apply. Now, the important thing that you can see that both the table contains the name of the customers. Now, the problem is, now it's not a problem. The scenario is that both the table contains duplicate values. Even over here, if you can watch carefully, some of the customer names have been repeated, like Jenny has been repeated twice. If you can come to this particular sales table, you can see that Jenny is also available over here. Jenny is also available over here. So what we can do, we can go to this particular option and we need to use this to table for a reporting. So when both the tables contains duplicate value, we cannot establish a one-to-many relationship, right? Because at least for one-to-many, we need to have one table with a unique value. But over here, both the table contains multiple values. In that case scenario, we'll go for a many-to-many relationship. For many-to-many relationship, we'll click on this particular manage relationship option under the model view. We click on this and there will be a window popping up. We'll click on new, and over here we have to select the tables. So you click on it, just drop down, select the first table as customer and second table as sales, where the name column contains multiple values of the same nature. So what we'll do, you can select this column from the customer table. We'll select the column from the name table, and you can see that Power BI has automatically established a many-to-many relationship. So both the tables should contain one column in common with the same type. Over here, the column is name column. And you can see that Power BI has established a many-to-many relationship. Now there is a message over here. This relationship has a cardinality of many-to-many. This should only be used if it is expected that neither column name and name contains any unique value, and that significantly different behavior of many-to-many relationship is understood. If any one of this table contains a unique value, many-to-many relationship will not be occurred, will not take place. So both the columns should have a multiple values of the same type. Only then the many-to-many relationship is established. So we click on OK, and we can see the table has been listed over here. We can click on close. The moment we click on close, you can see that the many-to-many relationship has been established. So on both the side, you can see a star on the name column. Now that we have established this relationship, we can go to a report view, and what we can do, we can create a simple report over here. And let me bring the date option over here in the access value from the sales table. Let me remove the hierarchy of the date, and let me bring the amount in the value. Let me expand this table. Now let me create a slicer. A slicer is a kind of filter only. I will talk about slicer in detail in my future sessions. So I'll click on slicer option. Let me resize this option over here. I can bring the slicer at this corner. And from the customer table, let me bring the name under slicer. And I can change the slicer type from list to, okay, I can keep it to list. I can select a drop down, that will be good. And in the format option, this, let me select the show all option. Don't worry, I will discuss about all these things. Now you can see the magic of many to many. The moment we have selected many to many, I click on this particular option, I can only get the unique name of the customers. The customer names are not repeating over here, just because we have established a many to many relationship. Now if I select a customer over here, you can see this bar graph is changing. If you had not selected a many to many relationship, first of all, we cannot, we'll never get a unique customer name over here. So that is a many to many. So in simple words, when you're working with two fact tables, suppose sales tables and a Germany table, and you want to establish a relationship, there cannot be a one to many. There will be always be a many to many relationship. When two table contains multiple value of the same ID or the same type, without any unique value, a many to many relationship is established. And these are the certain scenarios where you can establish a many to many relationship. So this was all about the data modeling points that I wanted to discuss. However, I will request you guys to please explore the data modeling part, and you can go in depth for the some new more DAX functions. You can explore the DAX concepts, the calculated columns, many to many, and the calculated tables, and how the DAX function is written. I've also discussed about how we can establish a one-to-many, a one-to-one relationship, the best practices of designing a data model, major groups, etc. I hope you have able to gain some knowledge from this particular session. Thank you for watching this video, guys.